Just days after the reading of the will, on the 30th of January 1922, Baha'u'llah, a covenant breaker and half-brother of Abdu'l-Baha, along with some supporters, forcibly seized the keys to Baha'u'llah's most holy tomb from the Baha'i caretaker. The seizure of the keys of the shrine by this bitterest enemy brought shock and sorrow to the tender and sensitive heart of Shoghi Effendi. Nevertheless, he exhibited a resolve and a wisdom that calls to mind the wisdom of Abdu'l-Baha. He laid the matter before the government. In February 1923, the government addressed His Eminence Shoghi Effendi Rabbani, stating, "The keys are yours." On the bright side, it can be said that the vast majority of the Friends rallied to support their young guardian. Baha'is everywhere were swept by a great wave of love and loyalty on hearing the provisions of the Master's will. During March 1922, Shoghi Effendi gathered in Haifa a group of well-known Baha'is to consult on the future of the cause. Among them were Hippolyte and Laura Dreyfus Barney. Though he listened to everyone's counsel, in the end, Shoghi Effendi directed the affairs of the faith by divine rather than human guidance. The strain of events took their toll on Shoghi Effendi, who now had the fate of the whole world on his shoulders. He had what might now be termed a breakdown. He appointed a body of 9 people to act tentatively as an assembly, and in April 1922 he left the cause under the headship of the greatest holy leaf and departed for Switzerland to regain, in his words, his health, strength, self-confidence, and spiritual energy. There, in those wild, high mountains and their lofty solitude, he sought healing. He wrote a close friend of his retreat, "In the fastness and recesses of these alluring mountains, I shall try to forget the atrocious vexations which have afflicted me for so long." Often, long before sunrise, he would start out, dressed in knee breeches, a Norfolk jacket, and sturdy mountain boots, walking often 10 to 16 hours, usually alone. He often climbed some of the higher mountains, roped to a guide. He would be caught by rain and walk on until his clothes dried on him. Rihul Khanum says, Shoghi Effendi, quote, "had a deep love of scenery, and I believe these restless, exhausting, hour after hour marches healed to some extent the wounds left so deep in his heart by the passing of the Master." As the months rolled by, the greatest holy leaf became deeply distressed by Shoghi Effendi's long absence, and sent members of his family to find him and plead with him to come back to the Holy Land. This appeal was successful, and on Friday afternoon, December 15th, 1922, he returned to Haifa in radiant health and happiness and resumed the reins of his office as guardian of the Baha'i cause. Twice more in those early years, Shoghi Effendi retired to Switzerland, for 5 months in 1923 and again for 6 months in 1924. He left to recuperate from his exhausting 7-days-a-week work regimen and his struggle to overcome his deep-seated feelings of unworthiness. And always he was haunted by the ever-present towering giants of his work and his responsibility. In those difficult early years following the Master's passing and Shoghi Effendi's enforced retirements to Switzerland, there arose a soul who cheered and heartened our beloved guardian. Her name was Martha Louise Root, star servant of Baha'u'llah. Martha circled the globe 3 times on her triumphant teaching journeys. Through a steady flow of letters, Martha kept her beloved guardian informed of her many and historic activities, yet she feared he might be burdened by the need to answer them. My dearest and most precious Martha, I assure you that but for your letters, I would feel unable to write more, as my nerves are shaken and tired. Your letters have given me strength, joy, and encouragement at a time when I felt depressed, tired, and disheartened. Ruhia Khanum, Shoghi Effendi's wife and secretary, said that of all the believers, her father and Martha Root brought Shoghi Effendi more deep personal satisfaction than any other believers. Martha Root's crowning achievement was the conversion of Queen Marie, who said, "I believe these teachings are the solution for the world's problems today." Shortly after her conversion, the Queen made a tour of Canada and the United States. During the course of her tour, Queen Marie issued a highly appreciative statement about the Baha'i faith. In a short time, her statements were published in some 200 newspapers and constituted some of the widest and most spectacular publicity the faith has ever received. In a confidential letter written on 29 May, the Guardian refers to this as the most astonishing and highly significant event in the progress of the cause. Mary Sutherland Maxwell was born August the 8th, 1910, in New York City. At the time of her birth, Abdu'l-Baha sent her parents a tablet that read, "In the garden of existence a rose hath bloomed, with the utmost freshness, fragrance, and beauty. Educate her according to the divine teachings, so that she may grow up to be a real Baha'i, and strive with all thy heart that she may receive the Holy Spirit." Mary's mother, May, was one of the most famous Baha'is of the West. She was at one time the mother of the Paris Baha'i community. Abdu'l-Baha once said of her, "Association with her uplifts and develops the soul."
Could I tell you about the guardian's marriage? Because it was so simple. When the day of our marriage came, I was dressed entirely in black, because they wear black, they did in those days in the East when the ladies went out on the street. And I had a black turban on my head and black shoes and a black bag and a black suit and black gloves. I had a white blouse on, I admit. But that was my wedding dress. And I came over to the master's house. By the time the afternoon came, I went over, and the beloved guardian came out and got into his car, and I got in beside him, and the heavens fell in Haifa because no one had wind of this, and they were all simply astonished. The guardian of the cause going off in an automobile with a Western Baha'i woman. This is simply unheard of. What is going on? So we went over to the shrine of Baha'u'llah and prayed. And this ring that I wear was Shoghi Effendi's Baha'i ring. It was given to him by the greatest holy leaf, and he had always worn it on this finger, and he was very, of course, attached to it. So the day that he told me that he had chosen me for this great honor, he put this ring on my finger. But then he said, "Now no one must see that you are wearing it." So I took it off and I wore it around my neck on a chain until the day when we went to the shrine of Baha'u'llah. And then we just had prayers in the shrine. He went in, he put the ring on my finger, that was all. Silently, no place for conversation. And he went inside the inner shrine and he gathered up all the dry flowers that were there. In those days the keeper used to take it off the threshold, put it inside. And he took those flowers back and gave them to my mother that night as a gift. And we went back, and